Me? I disgust you. You.
Who were the biggest smokers in Hollywood history? Join us as we count down the top 35 celebrities whose smoking habits were as famous as their performances. Number 35, Jack Cassidy. What happens when fame and tragedy collide? Meet Jack Cassidy, whose life took a shocking turn. Jack Cassidy was a prominent actor known for his roles, including the portrayal of the killer in 3 episodes of Columbo. His first appearance was in the debut episode Murder by the Book, directed by Steven Spielberg in 1971, where he played the character Kevin Franklin. Despite his success on screen, Cassidy's life was marked by a tragic accident. In December 1976, a fire broke out in his West Hollywood apartment, leading to Cassidy's untimely death. The fire was accidentally started when he fell asleep while smoking a cigarette.
And we're initially told that there was a missing resident from inside. They've since found out that that person is likely at work, but they're still working very diligently to put out this fire.
This incident not only cut short Cassidy's career, but also highlighted the dangers associated with heavy smoking. At the time of his death, Jack Cassidy was perhaps best known for being the ex-husband of Shirley Jones, another Hollywood icon, and the father of David and Sean Cassidy, both of whom became heartthrobs in their own right. Number 34, Bette Davis. Ever wondering how smoking became synonymous with Hollywood glamour? Let's dive into Bette Davis's surprising habits. While some might argue that Humphrey Bogart set the standard for making smoking look cool on screen, others would say that title belongs to Bette Davis. Oddly enough, however, Bette only smoked in about a quarter of her movies. Davis's penchant for smoking extended far beyond her on-screen roles. Off-screen, she was a heavy smoker, consuming an astonishing 4 packs a day of Vanguard cigarettes. She was known to light up frequently, claiming she couldn't go 10 minutes without a cigarette. This habit was so ingrained that she was often seen with a lit cigarette in hand during interviews and public appearances. Even her dentist couldn't deter her smoking habit. She reportedly smoked in the waiting room and even during dental procedures. Despite her heavy smoking, Bette Davis remarkably lived a long life without succumbing to smoking-related diseases. She eventually passed away from breast cancer, but she was reportedly still smoking around 100 cigarettes every day until her death. Number 33, Walt Disney. Behind the magic of Disney lies a tale of unexpected health battles. Discover Walt Disney's untold story. Walt Disney, the visionary creator behind Mickey Mouse and numerous iconic cartoon characters, achieved unparalleled success with the groundbreaking animated short Steamboat Willie.
Good afternoon. My name is Russell, and I am a wilderness explorer in Tribe 54.
His creative empire expanded to include award-winning films, the beloved television show The Wonderful World of Disney, and the iconic Disneyland, which first opened its gates in 1955. Plans were underway for a second park in Florida when tragedy struck. Disney's smoking habit eventually caught up with him. In 1966, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, leading to surgery to remove part of his lung. Despite the operation, complications arose, and he tragically passed away 6 weeks later, shortly after celebrating his 65th birthday. Number 32, Errol Flynn. Swashbuckling on screen, but battling demons off screen, Errol Flynn's life was far from the silver screen. Flynn's irresistible charisma won him the lead role in Murderer at Monte Carlo, now lost, and subsequently a contract with Warner Brothers. So Flynn left Europe and flew to America. In Hollywood, he was an immediate sensation, and his career flourished. But Flynn was also known for his heavy drinking, womanizing, and chain smoking. By 41, Errol's acting career had ended, his continued drinking, smoking, and womanizing ruining his health and what was left of his reputation. In the 1950s, he suffered from liver damage and hepatitis, with his body finally giving up in 1959 when Errol Flynn died of a heart attack. Number 31, Clark Gable. From Hollywood's leading man to a hidden struggle, Clark Gable's story unfolds. Clark Gable smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, was fond of bourbon, and at the time of his death, owned more than $500,000 worth of firearms. He landed his first leading role in a motion picture in 1930 and continued as leading man in films for the next 3 decades. He might be remembered for countless starring roles, but none of them can ever be more legendary than his leading role in Gone with the Wind. He died at age 59 from complications of a heart attack suffered while filming a movie with Marilyn Monroe and Montgomery Clift. Number 30, Betty Grable. She danced into our hearts, but behind the scenes, Betty Grable faced a different kind of spotlight. With her girl-next-door looks, Grable was one of the most successful actresses of Hollywood's golden era, at one time holding the title of the highest-paid woman in the United States. Born in St. Louis in 1916, she was the #1 female box office earner between 1942 and 1951. A lifelong heavy smoker, Grable was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1972 and died a year later. Number 29, Moe Howard. Laughing on stage, but crying in private. Moe Howard's life was a roller coaster of comedy and tragedy. The leader of the Three Stooges with the bull haircut, Moe Howard and his two brothers, Shemp and Curly, entertained generations of audiences with their unique brand of slapstick humor.
I'm getting sick and tired of looking at your monkey faces anyhow.
Born Moses Harry Horwitz, Howard outlived the other Stooges but died of lung cancer in 1975 at the age of 78. Number 28, Burl Ives. His voice echoed through generations, but Burl Ives' personal journey remains a haunting melody. He was an American musician, singer, and actor with a career that spanned more than 6 decades.
All I wanna do when the day is through.
Burl Ives, whose sweet, strong, mournful way with folk ballads made him an international singing star in the 1940s, and whose earthy acting won him an Academy Award in the 1950s. Ives, a longtime smoker of pipes and cigars, was diagnosed with oral cancer in the summer of 1994. After several unsuccessful operations, he decided against further surgery. He fell into a coma and died from the disease on April 14, 1995, at his home in Anacortes, Washington, at the age of 85. Number 27, George Burns. A cigar in hand, a legend on stage. George Burns' story lights up the shadows of Hollywood. From an impromptu singing gig in a candy store at the age of 7, to his enduring partnership with Gracie Allen, to solo stand-up comedy acts into his late 90s, Burns kept American audiences in stitches through most of the 20th century. Invariably, he smoked his trustworthy El Producto cigars during his act, not because he couldn't afford a more expensive cigar, but because they stayed lit on stage longer than the more tightly packed Havana smokes. If you have to stop your act to keep lighting your cigar, the audience goes out, he once cracked. The legendary star of vaudeville, radio, TV, and film resurrected his movie career in the 1970s with starring roles in The Sunshine Boys and Oh God! Burns, who lived to 100, credited his 10 to 15 cigar a day habit over a 70-year span with not only keeping him spry on stage, but also with helping him outlive his physician. If I had taken my doctor's advice and quit smoking when he advised me to, Burns quipped at age 98, I wouldn't have lived to go to his funeral. Number 26, Don Knotts. Who knew behind the laughter lay a tale of inner battles? Don Knotts' journey reveals the man behind the comedy. He started making a reputation as the perfect person to play a certain type of character.
Those of us who chart the course of world events shall forever remain nameless.
Nervous, anxious, and non-threatening. And here's the thing. The New York Times says that he absolutely stole some of the material he was doing, and those he stole from were largely fine with it. Why? For the same reason, he was given roles opposite other male comics and actors. The small, thin, nervous Knotts was the perfect sidekick to make others look more manly. Knotts made anyone look one step closer to leading man. He also had a reputation as a heavy smoker. Don continued working until the last months of his life, voicing Major Turkey in Disney's Chicken Little as one of his last projects in 2005. The 5-time Emmy Award-winning actor best known as Deputy Sheriff Barney Fife on The Andy Griffith Show and Mr. Roper on Three's Company, died from pulmonary and respiratory complications of pneumonia related to lung cancer on February 24, 2006, at 81 years old. His Andy Griffith Show co-star and friend Andy Griffith was by his side when he died. Number 25, Ernie Kovacs. Ernest Edward Kovacs was an American comedian, actor, and writer.
Goodness, Close, you certainly gave me a start.
Kovacs' visually experimental and often spontaneous comedic style influenced numerous television comedy programs for years after his death. The 50s TV genius smoked 20 Cuban double Coronas a day, and his commercials with his wife, actress Edie Adams, for sponsor Consolidated Cigars Dutch Masters and Muriel Cigars are considered classics. Nothing about Kovacs, a TV writer, director, producer, and star, was halfway. He lived extravagantly and worked so frenetically that he had shows on all 4 of the 1950s TV networks. When he died, his philosophy of excess was extolled on his trombone, nothing in moderation. Number 24, Milton Berle. Milton Berle, born Mendel Berlinger, was an iconic comedian and actor.
The newspapers went on strike, and I think that's terrible to be without newspapers. How you going to wrap fish?
As a stalwart of television's golden age, he thrived as the host of NBC's Texaco Star Theater, garnering the nickname Mr. Television. He appeared in more than 75 television shows and starred in 7 Broadway plays. Most men would be thrilled if their wives relished the smoke wafting from their cigars. Berle must be ecstatic, as all 3 of his spouses supported his hankering for Havanas. Even Marilyn Monroe, with whom the entertainer had a short fling before she became a star, savored the aroma of his cigars, and Uncle Milty, who regularly tried to wean his friends off cigarettes and onto cigars, once bought a box of small cigars for the blonde bombshell, hoping to persuade her to switch. Berle's second wife, Ruth, not only supported his cigar habit, she showed ingenuity in doing so. During their honeymoon in Paris, Ruth went shopping for an evening bag, trying larger and larger sizes until she found one that could fit 4 of Milty's mammoth Cubans. Before flying on to Rome, Berle packed some 500 Havanas, but customs officials there informed him that visitors were limited to 100 cigars. Nonplussed, Ruth pulled out a cigar from her bag and asked Berle for a light. She nearly choked to death smoking it, Berle recalled, but it enabled us to bring in another 100 cigars. Number 23, Dean Martin. A member of Hollywood's Rat Pack, the suave and sophisticated Martin was born Dino Paul Crosetti in 1917. Martin met Jerry Lewis in 1946. That pairing led to 16 feature films, plus popular radio and television programs. They split in 1956, and Martin went on to headline in Las Vegas, host his own TV show, and star in numerous movies. He died of acute respiratory failure stemming from lung cancer at the age of 78 in 1995. Number 22, Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin was born Lamont Waltman Marvin Jr. on February 19, 1924 in New York City, New York. He was named after his first cousin 4 times removed, American Civil War Confederate General Robert E. Lee, and his father was a veteran of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers who served during the First World War. Lee Marvin was known to be a heavy smoker and drinker throughout his life, habits that ultimately impacted both his personal and professional lives. He was known to smoke up to 6 packs of cigarettes a day and was often drunk. With it reported that he was frequently caught drunk driving, but that he got away with it by signing autographs for officers who pulled him over. In 1986, Martin was hospitalized for 2 weeks due to complications from valley fever. He suffered from respiratory distress and had to be administered steroids, and wound up having intestinal ruptures that forced him to undergo a colectomy. A year later, the actor was hospitalized for 2 weeks with a rundown condition related to the flu. During his stay, he suffered a heart attack, which resulted in his death on August 29, 1987, at the age of 63. Number 21, Walter Matthau. His wit charmed audiences, but Walter Matthau's life held secrets that defy expectations. Walter Matthau, the foghorn-voiced movie villain who became a master of crotchety comedy with his Oscar-winning The Fortune Cookie, and followed with The Odd Couple, Grumpy Old Men, and many other hits. While making The Fortune Cookie in 1966, he suffered a serious heart attack, the first of at least 3 in his lifetime. His doctor attributed it to smoking 3 packs a day and constant worry about gambling, and told him to give up both. Matthau stopped smoking. In 1976, he underwent heart bypass surgery. In December 1995, he had a colon tumor removed, apparently successfully, as there was no mention of cancer in his death certificate. He was hospitalized in May 1999 for more than 2 months, owing again to pneumonia. His death certificate lists the causes of death as cardiac arrest and atherosclerotic heart disease, with end-stage renal disease and atrial fibrillation as significant contributing factors. Number 20, Steve McQueen. The blue-collar man-of-action star of such films as Bullitt, The Great Escape, and The Magnificent Seven, McQueen starred on television in Wanted Dead or Alive. McQueen, a 2-pack-a-day smoker, got mesothelioma in 1980. He died during surgery to remove a tumor on his right leg. He was 50. Number 19, Robert Mitchum. Mitchum was never seen as the most accomplished of actors, but the guy knew what he did well, film noir.
H-A-T-E. It was with this left hand that old brother Cain struck the blow that laid his brother low.
The actor famously went into scenes in Out of the Past unprepared to make the film more spontaneous and tense. Smoking is such a part of Mitchum's noir pastiche. It's on the freaking poster. Cigarettes are a touchstone of film noir atmosphere, and no one made it fit better than Mitchum. Number 18, Rod Serling. Rod Serling created one of the great all-time TV shows, The Twilight Zone. He was respected in Hollywood for his creative vision, and he became a sensation for this work. And yet, he was never able to feel good about himself as an artist and a person. His penchant for self-doubt led him to taking on many vices like drinking and smoking. And these only got worse when The Twilight Zone ended. He was so worried about not being able to replicate the success of his masterpiece that he took to heavy drinking and smoking 4-packs a day. Rod was a wreck. He was riddled with doubt and self-hatred, and self-medicated with more booze and cigarettes. In 1975, he had to undergo bypass surgery for a clogged artery. Sadly, his heart stopped during the operation and he passed away at age 50. His heart had been damaged by his years of mistreating his body and didn't have the capacity to keep going through the surgery. Number 17, George Peppard. George Peppard was a stage, screen, and television actor who established himself with his film role opposite Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961, and was the star of several popular television series. Peppard smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day for most of his life. After a diagnosis of lung cancer in 1992 and an operation to remove part of one lung, he quit smoking. Despite health problems, in his later years he continued acting. Although he spent most of his life as an actor, producer, and writer, in his later years he spent much of his time helping alcoholics and working for various charities. He died of respiratory complications due to pneumonia at the age of 35 and is buried at Northview Cemetery in Dearborn, Michigan. Number 16, Dick Powell. Dick Powell was an American actor, singer, musician, producer, director, and studio head. He was the first actor to portray Private Detective Philip Marlowe on screen. On September 27, 1962, Powell acknowledged rumors that he was undergoing treatment for cancer. The disease was originally diagnosed as an allergy, with Powell first experiencing symptoms while traveling east to promote his program. Upon his return to California, Powell's personal physician conducted tests and found malignant tumors on his neck and chest. It is speculated Powell developed cancer as a result of his participation in the film The Conqueror, which was filmed near a site used by the U.S. military for nuclear testing. About a third of the actors who participated in the film developed cancer, including Powell. However, in a 2001 interview with Larry King, Powell's widow June Allison stated that the cause of death was lung cancer due to his chain smoking. Number 15, Lee Remick. Lee Ann Remick was an American film and television actress. Among her best-known films are Anatomy of Murder, Days of Wine and Roses, and The Omen. When the producers of Agnes of God, the forthcoming drama, were negotiating with Lee Remick to return to Broadway after an absence of 16 years, they neglected to ask her an important question. The play's author, John Piehlmeyer, stipulated in the script that Miss Remick's character, a psychiatrist, is never without a cigarette except in her monologues. The question the producers forgot to ask Miss Remick was, of course, was she a smoker? And they gave the delicate job of finding out to Michael Lindsay Hogg, the play's director. I was relieved to find out that indeed Lee had a smoking habit, he said. Smoking is such a basic part of the character as written that she would have been faced with having to fake smoking throughout, which would be extremely difficult to do, or learning to smoke for the role. Number 14, George C. Scott. In a business full of self-destructive characters, George C. Scott may very well top the list. 5 times married, a fierce alcoholic, and possessed of a bestial temper that gave vent to physical violence perhaps hundreds of times in his life, Scott makes latter-day bad boys like Sean Penn look like pipsqueaks. At the same time, his gentlemanly demeanor and deep intelligence, which was manifested in an articulateness rare in American actors, added another level which, combined with the volcano bubbling beneath, made him fascinating both as an actor and a human being.
Just a goddamn coward.
Scott suffered several heart attacks over the years. He claimed he got his gravelly voice from smoking too many cigarettes. He died from a rupture of a major blood vessel in his abdomen. Number 13, Vito Scotti. An Italian-American character actor par excellence. A stage actor from the 30s, he progressed to TV and film in the 1940s.
But where will I sleep? Aha, sleep, you say. Look at this. This is an instrument of torture.
In a 50-year career, he racked up more than 200 screen appearances in shows as varied as Batman, Gilligan's Island, Hogan's Heroes, Ironside, and The Monkees. He also starred as Nazarene in The Godfather. Scotti died of lung cancer in 1996, age 78. He died at the Motion Picture and Television Country House and Hospital in Woodland Hills, California on June 5, 1996. Number 12, Orson Welles. George Orson Welles was an American actor, director, writer, producer, and magician who is remembered for his innovative work in film, radio, and theater. He is considered to be among the greatest and most influential filmmakers of all time. When he was just 25 years old, Wells conceived, wrote, and directed Citizen Kane in 1941, considered by many cineasts to be the finest and most innovative American film ever made. The larger-than-life cinema icon, who went on to produce 4 more masterpieces, was at turns reviled and revered by his peers. Wells was a lover of the good life, especially fine cigars. He intentionally wrote cigar-smoking characters, such as Touch of Evil's police captain Hank Quinlan, into his films. Number 11, Jackie Gleason. The great one on screen, but facing his greatest battles behind closed doors. Jackie Gleason's story is one of legend. Jackie Gleason became a household name by portraying the legendary character Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners. His big frame and over-the-top comic persona ate up the screen, and audiences around the country adored him. But off-screen, Gleason's behavior was just as grand. For starters, he ate with veracity. He generally weighed between 230 and 330 pounds and constantly fluctuated between the two. But it wasn't just bad eating habits that made Gleason unhealthy. He drank heavily, downing whiskey like it was water. He referred to a scotch on the rocks as a cream bun on ice and was basically drunk most of the time. And of course, he smoked as well. He was known for smoking 5 packs a day. Gleason kept up his unhealthy lifestyle until his death of colon cancer at the age of 71. Number 10, Lionel Stander. Lionel Stander, the movie character actor with the great gravelly voice, was born on January 11, 1908, in the Bronx borough of New York City. Stander specialized in playing lovable hoodlums and henchmen and assorted acerbic hard-boiled types. His physique was burly and brutish, and his head featured a square jaw beneath a coarse-featured pan that was lightened by his charm. But it was his gruff, foghorn voice that made his fortune.
You like it?
Oh, this is great. A Cuban special.
Lionel Stander died in 1996 at his home in the Brentwood section of Los Angeles. He was 86. The cause was lung cancer. Number 9, Barbara Stanwyck. Born on July 16, 1907 in Brooklyn, Barbara Stanwyck appeared in more than 80 films, portraying a variety of strong-willed women. Her movies include Stella Dallas in the film noir classic Double Indemnity, in which she defined the femme fatale character. Stanwyck won Emmys for her television work in The Big Valley and The Barbara Stanwyck Show. She received an honorary Academy Award in 1981 and died in 1990. In 1982, while filming The Thornbirds, Stanwyck inhaled special effects smoke on the set that may have caused her to contract bronchitis, which was compounded by her cigarette smoking habit. She began smoking at the age of 9 and stopped just 4 years before her death. She later developed chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, which claimed her life in 1990 when she was 82 years old. Number 8, Ed Sullivan. Ed Sullivan was an American television personality who was best known as the master of ceremonies of the immensely popular early TV variety program, first known as The Toast of the Town and later as The Ed Sullivan Show. Sullivan, a lifelong smoker, believed his ailment to be yet another complication from a long-standing battle with gastric ulcers. Sullivan died on October 13, 1974, at New York's Lenox Hill Hospital. His funeral was attended by 2,000 people at St. Patrick's Cathedral, New York on a cold, rainy day. Number 7, William Tallman. William Whitney Tallman Jr. was an American television and movie actor, best known for playing Los Angeles District Attorney Hamilton Berger in the TV series Perry Mason. Tallman is also known for being the first actor in Hollywood to film an anti-smoking public service announcement for the American Cancer Society. A lifelong heavy smoker, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and knew he was dying when he filmed the commercial. Number 6, Robert Taylor. Robert Taylor began his career in films in 1934 when he signed with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. He won his first leading role the following year in Magnificent Obsession. His popularity increased during the late 1930s and 1940s with appearances in Camille in 1936, A Yank at Oxford 1938, Waterloo Bridge 1940, and Baton in 1943. A chain smoker, he was diagnosed with lung cancer in the spring of 1968 after feeling increasingly breathless and tired for some time. He immediately underwent cobalt treatment. However, he did not give up smoking until shortly before undergoing major surgery to remove his entire right lung on the 8th of October 1968. Taylor died of lung cancer at the age of 57. Number 5, Jean Tierney. Acclaimed for her great beauty, she became established as a leading lady.
I was born in Africa. I've lived here all my life.
She was best known for her portrayal of the title character in the film Lara in 1944. As an actor, she had been a heavy smoker, probably to lower her voice. On November 6, 1991, Tierney died of emphysema after nearly 50 years of being a heavy smoker. Number 4, Spencer Tracy. In 1935, Tracy signed with MGM under the aegis of Irving Thalberg, and his career flourished. He became the first actor to win back-to-back Best Actor Oscars for Captain Courageous in '37 and in a project he initially didn't want to star in, Boys Town in 1938. Tracy's adult life of alcoholism, smoking cigarettes, taking pills, and being overweight left him in poor health by the time he reached his 60s. On July 21, 1963, Tracy was hospitalized after a severe attack of breathlessness. Number 3, Lana Turner. Lana Turner, celebrated for her beauty and talent, captivated audiences during Hollywood's golden age with a career that spanned nearly 5 decades. Rising to fame as both a pinup model and a film actress, she became one of MGM's top stars in the mid-1940s, contributing significantly to the studio's success with her box office hits.
Just tell me one thing. That we'll always be together. Tell me.
Yes, always.
Turner's glamorous persona on-screen often masked her personal struggles, including a lifelong habit of heavy smoking and regular drinking. Despite efforts by MGM to airbrush out cigarettes from promotional photos during her contract, Turner remained a committed smoker throughout much of her life. In her early 60s, Lana Turner made a conscientious decision to quit drinking in an effort to preserve her health. However, she struggled to kick her smoking habit, which eventually led to devastating consequences. In the spring of 1992, she was diagnosed with throat cancer, a direct result of years of smoking. After undergoing radiation therapy, Turner initially announced remission in early 1993, offering hope to her fans and loved ones. Sadly, the cancer returned in July 1994, marking a decline in her health. Lana Turner passed away on June 29, 1995, due to complications from cancer, leaving behind a legacy of beauty, talent, and the cautionary tale of the dangers of smoking. Number 2, John Wayne. Marion Robert Morrison, famously known as John Wayne, began his Hollywood career as a prop boy at Fox Studios. His journey to stardom took an unexpected turn when director John Ford asked him to step in for a stuntman who refused to jump into the ocean, marking the beginning of Wayne's illustrious acting career. Best remembered for his iconic roles in westerns, John Wayne's versatility spanned across genres, from war epics to romantic leads, appearing in over 200 films throughout his lifetime.
Not till Austin separates the sheep from the goats. Not till he decides who's on the right side.
Despite his on-screen heroics, Wayne battled a serious addiction to smoking, which ultimately took a toll on his health. In 1964, John Wayne underwent surgery to remove most of his left lung due to complications from lung cancer, a consequence of his heavy smoking habit. Despite surviving this operation, Wayne continued to face health challenges, including battles with heart disease and other forms of cancer linked to years of smoking.
They found a spot on the x-rays. It was lung cancer.
John Wayne passed away at the age of 72 from complications related to stomach cancer. His enduring legacy in cinema and his personal struggles with smoking-related illnesses serve as a stark reminder of the dangers associated with tobacco use, even for larger-than-life figures like the Duke. Number 1, Jack Wilde. From Oliver to an unexpected journey, Jack Wilde's life story is a tale of fame, folly, and unforeseen challenges. Jack Wilde shot to fame at just 16 years old for his brilliant portrayal of the Artful Dodger in the 1968 film adaptation of Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. The role earned him an Oscar nomination and catapulted him to stardom, making him a millionaire by the age of 18. However, the early success soon gave way to struggles with alcoholism. By the time he turned 21, Jack Wilde was already battling alcohol addiction, admitting later to nearly 2 decades lost in a drunken haze. His heavy smoking habits compounded his health issues, leading to a devastating diagnosis of oral cancer in 2000. Despite undergoing treatment that left him unable to speak, Wilde became a vocal advocate for mouth cancer awareness with Cancer Research UK. Jack Wilde's journey serves as a cautionary tale, urging young actors not to follow in his footsteps. His legacy extends beyond the screen, marked by his efforts to educate others about the dangers of smoking and excessive drinking. He passed away at the age of 53 after a courageous battle with cancer, leaving behind a lasting impact on both the entertainment industry and public health awareness. Who did we miss? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our latest Hollywood updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.